this Project Family special presentation.
I'm Joe Legge. Joe Gragg and I are going to take you on another road trip. We're going to revisit our travels of sorts along the Virginia Heritage Music Trail, the Crooked Road. We did 15 stories and 10 live shots during our travels this spring, and we wanted to put it all together for you as we revisit the Crooked Road.
We met a lot of interesting people, heard some great music, and went to a lot of neat places. But we didn't have time for all that stuff in our stories.
So come on along as we travel down the Crooked Road one more time, Virginia's Heritage Music Trail.
The Crooked Road Revisited is made possible by our Project Family partners, Wolf, Williams & Rutherford, and Long John Silvers.
Most weekday afternoons in downtown Galax, Virginia, you'll find Stevie Barr on the sidewalk sharing his passion with children. They start them young in Galax, our first stop on the Crooked Road.
The hardest part is when you like learn a new song and then you start it and it doesn't go very good.
117 kids hope to one day rival Stevie, who's passed up opportunities to play in professional bands to pass on his gift.
And then they can maybe pass it down to other kids, and 200 years from now, that it'll still be going and going and going. Of course, each time you pass it down, they make it better and better.
People like Stevie help Galax live up to its reputation as the world capital of old-time mountain music.
We really want to tell that story and showcase how these musicians have kept this music alive, and they still continue to do it today.
Galax tells that story through music. Here at the Blue Ridge Music Center, regional and national bluegrass acts pick and play every Saturday in the summer. Depending on who's headlining, 500 to 3,000 people turn out for the tunes.
Hey, check.
While sound technicians prepare for another show, construction crews rush to complete a new museum and instrument workshop, an addition set to open this month. The 17,000 square foot facility will have an interpretive center, exhibit gallery, indoor auditorium, and classroom area to accommodate visiting school groups.
It's on National Park Service property. 1,000 acres of land was donated by the city of Galax to build this facility.
But it's the old that's been attracting folks to Galax for 70 years. To be more specific, the Old Fiddlers Convention, a 6-day event held every August.
In the last few years, there's really been a change for us, and it's just been a highlight of the whole event because we had last year over 100 individuals, youth under 15 and under, to compete.
Those not willing to wait can catch a live show every Friday back downtown at the Rex. The converted 1930s movie house hosts one of only a few live performances broadcast live on the radio each week. WBRF gladly moved its Blue Ridge Backroads show to the Rex after outgrowing its studio.
There was no room for an audience, you can see. I mean, we fit in here pretty well, but, you know, if we get one or two more, then it starts to get a bit packed. And so, especially there used to be a great baby grand piano in here, too.
But what is there to do in Galax as a musical interlude?
We make all of our sauces here. Our house sauce is black pepper spicy.
Well, eating's always a good way to pass some time, something Joe Gragg knows all too well. The nationally recognized Galax Smokehouse grew out of a conversation at church.
What makes it unique is we smoke all the food right here on the premises. As you can tell, you can smell the aroma right here.
To work off that barbecue, many go for a stroll, ride bikes, or horses on a portion of the 57-mile New River Trail.
Well, it's level, one thing.
Yeah, level. We're not mountain bikers, but we love to ride our bikes. So
it's just a beautiful, beautiful trail along the river.
Eventually, the river will serve as a Blueway trail.
When all is said and done and all the campgrounds are complete, you'll be able to canoe, you'll be able to hop in the water, get in your boat and go about 10 miles a day.
And if you get the urge to do a little picking of your own,
You better hold on to that. I don't need it. Don't know what to do with it.
I'm going to put this thing up.
Explore your options at Barr's Fiddle Shop and meet Stevie's dad, who learned how to make instruments after playing with Albert Hash.
Like I say, Albert was a fiddle maker, and he kind of told me I ought to try to make a fiddle one. So I tried. It took me a little over a year to make the first one. That was in '73.
And if you're persistent, you just might be able to sneak in a lesson from Stevie.
5, 2, 1, 5, 2. Now keep at it going. Playing the banjo, see? It's just as simple as that. He always dreamed of playing the banjo, now he is.
Travel between Galax and Bristol and discover why they call it the Crooked Road. It's pretty curvy, but it's a beautiful drive with musicians hidden in the hills, providing a few detours, like the town of Independence. Here, the 1908 courthouse has been turned into a place for picking and learning, complete with a courtroom turned auditorium and a museum to the early 1900s and Wade Ward.
And a lot of his music is in the Smithsonian, along with his personal effects. And we've talked to the Smithsonian about having those loaned out to us here to put on display for the Crooked Road.
This stretch of Virginia's Heritage Music Trail remains a work in progress. In the future, listening posts will be added near Independence and other locations for travelers to stop and sit a spell.
For instance, in Norton, they could stop and hear about the music of Doc Boggs, but they could also hear about the music of Jim and Jesse in Coburn, Virginia. The listening post will have text panels where they can read about the history of the area.
When the Crooked Road Revisited returns, where musical history was made back in 1927.
In 1927, this is where the musicians gathered, here in Bristol. Ralph Peer came to town to do some mountain folk music recordings. The event brought out the Stonemans, the Carters, Jimmy Rogers, and on and on. A whole new industry was born. In the early 1990s, the birthplace of country music formed to let folks know this is where it all began.
And this is where the BCMA wants to have a permanent reminder of that historic event, right here along the Crooked Road.
Once in Bristol, we tried to tune our tour toward the birthplace of country music museum. Now housed in the Bristol Mall, the museum will eventually relocate downtown.
To be a block from the site of the original recordings, to be a block from the site of WCYB's Farm and Fun Time. I mean, that's where the history was made, and so we'll be not right on the exact spot, but as close as we could possibly get.
Planning work continues with a summer 2007 goal in mind. While the museum hosts live music on the Pickin' Porch, a concert comes free with a cut at Star Barbershop. Nestled in this business complex along State Street sits Star Barbershop. From the outside, it looks tame. But inside, a rough and rowdy crew gathers every Thursday and at will other days.
Well, tell me about this picking you got going on in the shop. How often do you do that?
Well, ever since I've been here.
How long has that been?
About 56 years.
Gene Boyd, also known as the Fiddling Barber, doesn't mind the music. In fact, he plays along sometimes. Barbershop bluegrass pickers change every day as new ears learn of the musical chatter.
Well, they're just different ones at different times, I guess, and just whoever wants to come in and play, well, they're welcome, and we just all get together and have a good time.
But occasionally, there are so many musicians, Boyd can't get his work done.
Well, sometimes I get a telephone call and I tell them, I said, I just can't understand what you're saying. They're making too much noise.
Downtown appears to be where the music lives. During the spring and summer months, Bristol's Downtown Center hosts performances every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
Just a bunch of bluegrass people were looking for a place to sit around and pick and jam, and at that point this was a wide open space because of the transit facility here.
That was 15 years ago. Now the musicians attract a crowd, and there are so many performers wanting to play here, many just show up to provide an impromptu audition.
The neat thing about this, you'll have a band set to go on stage, and there will be 3 or 4 bands back here all jamming together. And sometimes between the breaks of the organized bands, you'll have just a bunch of guys get on stage and jam together.
And in the fall, the Rhythm and Roots Reunion reunites, setting up its main stage by the Birthplace mural.
You know, all along the Crooked Road, natural wonders abound, like here at Virginia's Natural Tunnel State Park in Scott County.
You know, here in Scott County, there came a family one time that's been influencing music worldwide. They're called the Carter family, and they've got a little place here called The Fold.
And the circle, the unbroken by...
From birthplace to conception, it would be a mistake to travel the crooked road and not stop in Hilton's, Virginia, at the Carter Fold.
So where y'all from?
Well, I'm from near Richmond.
Oh, okay, great.
Me and Pearl are from Ohio.
Oh, wow. You guys are just down for the day?
3 buildings make up the Carter Family Memorial Music Center: A.P. Carter's cabin, the Carter Family Museum, and the Carter Fold.
In the Bible, the fold is a gathering place for the faithful.
The Fold hosts shows Saturday night, a 30-year tradition.
I feel like this is the only really true place that you really just, I mean, you're at the root of like where the mountain music is.
Hundreds make the trek each week to listen to old-time mountain songs and dance flat-footed.
But now they've got the seating and it's much better, and then they'll have a better dance floor. We come to dance here because there's like 200 on the floor.
The Fold recently underwent the first of 2 upgrades thanks to money from the Crooked Road Project. 547 seats have been installed and the dirt floor concreted. Next up, another 300 seats will be added, along with a new roof and kitchen area, and then work on the museum.
A change in the displays, the way everything's displayed, updating everything a little bit, better signage. There'll be some signs outdoors for people that stop by when there's actually no one here, so that they can see what is here, hear maybe some of the music.
Inside, there's priceless items from AP's grocery store: Carter family instruments, recordings, and clothing, and of course, awards.
I'd like to thank the Academy on behalf of all the people who worked hard to get me this far in my musical career.
This Grammy for Lifetime Achievement had been the pride of the Carter family until the National Endowment for the Arts named Jeanette Carter as a 2005 National Heritage Award recipient, honoring her musical contributions to society.
The music, if you don't keep it going and everything like that, it's gone.
Jeanette Carter works tirelessly to preserve the music her parents started with the 1927 Bristol Sessions. But traveling from Hilton's to Bristol back then was quite a chore. A.P. Carter convinced his wife and sister-in-law to make the journey, but had to hoe a corn patch in order to gain permission to borrow a relative's car to make the trip.
Some blistering heat, and they had 3 flat tires going to Bristol, and there was no road, no paved road. They just followed the road bed or the creek bed. And when they came back, I know they forded the river to get back, and the car stalled out in the middle of the Holston. And because Aunt Mabel was 8 months pregnant, some of the kinfolk actually went in and carried her out. And they said they carried the instruments over their heads as to keep from getting them wet. And came back and just went back to farming. I don't think they thought too much about what they had done.
No car, 3 flat tires, and 1 member of the group ready to give birth. The Bristol Sessions must have been meant to be. A symbol of country music's humble beginnings still stands: the cabin where A.P. Carter was born. A state and national historic place, Johnny and June Cash raised money to relocate and restore the cabin nearly 30 years ago, but it was Marty Stewart who helped fast-track the cabin's preservation after taking pictures of it for his book.
Marty was so upset and shaken by the fact that the cabin was really falling into disrepair. And he was afraid it was going to be lost. And he talked to my cousin Roger about, trying to start the process to restore it.
It's been a rough couple of years for the Carter family with the passing of June, Johnny, and Joe. But to hear Forrester talk, it's also been joyous with the cabin relocation, long overdue Grammy, and upcoming movie about Johnny and June.
Joe and Joe travel farther down the crooked road when our Project Family presentation continues.
There are some beautiful places along the crooked road, like here in Powell Valley in Wise County, Virginia. One of our stops on the tour.
We found some music, some history, and things to do just about every place we stopped.
8 anchor sites now make up the crooked road, connecting major heritage music venues in the Appalachian region. Places like the Blue Ridge Music Center in Galax, birthplace of Country Music Museum in Bristol, and Carter Fold in Hilton's. The goal? Create a tourist destination for music fans looking for a day trip or a week-long getaway.
before they were actually traveling through the area, probably to either go to Williamsburg or to Nashville or something like that. And now there's a destination. They can stop here and stay for a limited amount of time.
Towns along the Crooked Road recognize its tourism potential, planning attractions that could be future anchor sites. The Lonesome Pine School and Heritage Center in Big Stone Gap will one day house a large area downstairs where music can be played Sunday afternoons. Upstairs will be a museum dedicated to local schools.
And all that history for the Southwest Virginia, for this end of the state, will be housed in about the schools in this area. And there'll also be a place to do genealogical study.
A few miles off the Crooked Road lies Coburn, home of Grand Ole Opry members Jim and Jesse McReynolds.
For you're the only one we'll ever do. I want someone to hug and call me hungry.
The town also wants to be a Crooked Road anchor, but organizers would like Coburn to create a venue such as a Jim and Jesse museum.
They would want other people included because I mentioned the Greers and the Powers and the McReynolds. They are kin to all of these people.
Downtown Norton has a venue, but the Virginia-Kentucky Opry isn't officially on the Crooked Road. About 10 years ago, the owner of this radio station envisioned an outlet like the Grand Ole Opry. Now, once a month, the station hosts performances from this converted department store live on the radio.
Sometimes it's like we'll have as many as 17, 18 entertainers with different bands, and you have to set up in between and run the commercials and keep it moving.
Norton's claim to fame on the trail is the Country Cabin, built in the 1930s under President Roosevelt's WPA program.
Basically what we're doing today for box suppers, remember how the box suppers used to be, and for music, a lot of the local folks gathered there on Saturday night.
The old cabin retired a few years ago with the opening of Country Cabin 2, where a family-oriented program rooted in mountain music attracts young and old every Saturday night.
In just about any family around here, although they may not come and enjoy it at the cabin, you'll hear that, well, my grandfather danced, my grandfather played the fiddle, I've got an old fiddle in my attic.
Dancing is a must here, whether beginner or advanced, clogger or two-stepper. New additions to the cabin will soon be completed, including a museum telling the Country Cabin story and a small wedding chapel, along with an outdoor amphitheater and a new building for larger music events. Bluegrass Circle plays Country Cabin frequently. Some of their members, who are chiefly responsible for preserving mountain music, hope additional venues will develop.
There could be a few more. Some of the places are not big enough, so, you know, it just depends on the place and the location. Right. The Crooked Road deal will help out a whole lot.
While most of the music occurs at night, this portion of the Crooked Road offers ways to pass the day, especially in Big Stone Gap. A walking or driving tour of town sends visitors to the June Tolliver House, home to the heroine in the novel Trail of the Lonesome Pine. There's also museums for the author, coal industry, and all of Southwest Virginia. And during the summer months, the Trail of the Lonesome Pine outdoor drama tells the tale of how the discovery of coal changed mountain life.
The last stop along the Crooked Road when Joe and Joe return.
The Crooked Road ends up in Clintwood in Dickinson County, home of a music legend. You know, Ralph Stanley's been making his brand of music for over half a century, and he can still bring it to millions of fans each year.
Now, Ralph's recovered from open heart surgery and will soon be making that music again. We got a chance in the spring to visit Ralph at his museum, the Ralph Stanley Museum in downtown Clintwood.
I believe I've seen you on TV.
I believe I've seen you.
Have you?
As Grammy award-winning musicians go, they don't come more down to earth than Ralph Stanley.
I got sent to the principal's office a few times.
Principal's office?
Yeah.
Well, I can remember one good paddling I got.
The 78-year-old architect of the old-time bluegrass sound appears more than happy to share the stories of his childhood and career, like why the Army moved him to a desk job during World War II.
Tried to get you to re-enlist.
Yeah, they tried to get me.
Just so they could listen to you play?
Yeah.
The museum houses many of Stanley's awards, outfits, and recordings. There's rooms dedicated to Stanley's brother Carter and the Clinch Mountain Boys, and interactive exhibits that let you see and hear the sounds of the times. Eventually, the museum will be offering more educational components based around old-timey music.
We have high expectations to have a roots series where we can look at different cultures that kind of bring together what we know of as traditional mountain music in our area.
The museum recently launched a monthly Pick and Port series and doubles as a store for Appalachian legacy products, comfort foods created by Southwest Virginia's mountain settlers. Mixes include chocolate gravy and lunchroom cookies. Stanley lends his name and face to these products, something he's now used to doing at the museum.
Now, do they ask you for stuff, or do you just kind of come by one day with a box and say, here you go?
Well, yeah, I gave him a lot of things.
Like his first banjo, something his mother taught him to play.
And she tuned it for me and taught me to play an old-timer called Shout Little Lully, and that's the clawhammer style. And after that, I just got a style of my own.
Many describe his vocal style as deep, ancient, piercing, and sorrowful.
Oh, Dad. T-Bone Burnett that produced the soundtrack on Old Brother Where Art Thou, he said Ralph went backwards to go forward. What he meant by that, I went back and got older stuff and just, got more old time.
Stanley appreciates his new bluegrass fans post Oh Brother, but says he won't change his tune to keep with the times. Now, he's counting on his son and 12-year-old grandson Nathan to keep the old style thriving.
Yeah, he played the spoons for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can play a little bit on the spoons, but not much. Kazoo's about as far as I can get.
Others have been more inspired by Stanley, like Lonesome Will Mullins, the Clintwood, Virginia banjo player and singer. We asked Stanley what question he gets asked the most. The answer, will he retire? Generations have grown up listening to Ralph Stanley, and God willing, that will continue.
As long as he blesses me to keep my health and my talent, and if I ever get told I don't think I can satisfy the people, well, I'm ready to go home.
This fall, Stanley will be immortalized in the Barter Theater production Man of Constant Sorrow, a new play from the creator of Keep on the Sunny Side, a musical about the Carter family. One stretch of road that offers so much, and it's only the beginning. Future stops are planned along the Crooked Road.
We'd like to thank all the fine people that helped us make this spring tour a success, but now we've got to get ready for the race.
Oh, yeah. Where did we park that RV anyhow?
Oh, yeah. The RV. It's around here somewhere, man.
The Crooked Road Revisited has been made possible by our Project Family partners, Wolf, Williams, and Rutherford, and Long John Silvers.